Good afternoon, everyone. It is Monday, November 9th, and in a very strange day here in New England. It's 75 degrees out, so it is not a normal November. And I actually wanted to go outside and do this, but there's some work going on in the neighborhood, and there's chainsaws and annoying noise everywhere that would interrupt us. So come back inside and get this going in here. Okay, as I usually want to do is I'd like to walk through what we did last week in Unit 2 and look ahead to Unit 3. And in a very typical move, as you can see now, I think you're going to see how the course builds on itself and how Unit 3 directly follows Unit 2 in a logical pattern of topics. So, what did we look at in Unit 2? Well, in Unit 2, we looked at very large organization, and we chose the military structure, and it doesn't have to be just the American, it could be any military structure, which are very large, very complex organizations. And we also looked at environment in which these organizations must operate in order to accomplish their organizational mission, their organizational goals. And we looked at a historical period that's very familiar to me, simply because that was the age I grew up on and became aware of things in. The Cold War was my reality. And it's not a historical event, it's something I remember a lot of the things that were going on. But I think what you saw was how things have changed for the military, things have changed for the economy, things have changed for the society. How do organizations change with them? How does that process work? Is it taking people out of comfort zones? Is it requiring different kinds of organizational approaches? Can multiple organizational approaches exist within the same group? And eventually, how does it look for the future? And I think we got in some very interesting discussions. I was I was having fun taking part. A lot of interesting perspectives. We have an awful lot of people who had personal military perspectives that they could bring. We have people who were definitely bringing in their ideas from their business experience. So this is a really timely topic, even though it focused on a historical period. Now, as we go forward into Unit 3. Unit 3 makes its way into an area that's very, very dominant in what we talk about, and that's organizational culture. You've probably heard it talked about as corporate culture, just any kind of culture. But culture is actually a set of behaviors, isn't it? A set of standards, a set of normal procedures, of normal ways of doing things, and normal ways of living. And it can go anything from a society down to a smallest unit of a friendship, really. Culture is something that develops slowly, it develops deeply. I always laugh when I hear a new organization, a new leader take over in an organization and say they're going to change the culture. And I just love taking my head back and going, oh yeah? Not going to happen overnight. So a lot of things we're going to start looking at. How do organizational cultures develop? What do they mean? How do they define things? Does the model that we choose fit the culture? Does the organization itself shape its form to the culture? Does the culture exert other forces on it? Does culture come internally or externally? A lot of different things, and I think you're going to have fun with it, because one of the things we used to go into the discussion this week is an organization called IDEO. And IDEO is a design firm. And IDEO, the videos about them, it's a 3-video series. Videos are getting a little aged now. They're going back some almost 20 years. IDEO is still around and still functioning. And still functioning, to my knowledge, much in the same way. And it's always interesting to me when we have this course to see how people react to reading about and listening about IDEO. We get some people who say, oh, I just wish my company could be like that. I wish my organization could be that. I would love to work there. And others say, it sounds like chaos to me. It sounds like I'm not sure this could really work out with what we need to get done. It's a great topic for discussion, but I think you'll see, as I spoke of earlier, how things build onto each other and come up into this point. So be careful when you go in here to make sure you've read and watched the material a couple of times, because it's that nuanced. You know, the very famous management scholar and author Peter Drucker, about 30 or 40 years ago, is reported to have said, at least it's a quote that gets attributed to him, that culture eats strategy for lunch. And that's something that we really need to remember. It's that powerful. It is something that comes into play at all times. So keep looking at that, keep going with it. Now, on some mechanical things, you'll notice last week I put together a video talking about how to approach your discussions and your papers. I hope you've had a chance to review that, and you have reviewed it. It's it's a very important document. It will help us all in the future. So please take the time to do that. I'm going to try to make sure that I stick to my schedule here. I'm going to try to get your discussions done by Tuesday. Certainly, I hope to get them all done at that time frame. With the things that I have to cover this week, I think we can get papers done by Wednesday evening, but again, no later than Thursday morning. And as always, if you have anything to question, please get in touch with me. Be happy to help you out. Thank you very much.